Hey, what's up, everybody? Live on YouTube. It's time for a little debate preview. And actually, it looks like Thursday and Monday are going to be the days that I'll do these two additional short live streams. And Thursday will kind of be like a little bit of a wrap up of the news, a little bit of like a pre-Friday kind of week wrap up, maybe. And definitely, if you hit 5 or above on the super chat, I'll take your questions. And then Monday will either be related mostly to my upcoming book for Zero Books. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, guys? Or introductions, like short introductions to specific people and thinkers or events that will almost be like little mini introductions basically to how's it going, to what we do on the illicit histories for TMBS patrons for our Sunday shows, which you should definitely check out, patreon.com/TMBS. Yeah, there's a lot going on out there. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to hit 100 on each of these super chats just to help everything sort of keep going and grow out. So hit us on the super chat. If you hit $5 or above on the super chat, I will answer your question. So what's happening tonight is I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be important, I guess, to have a smaller stage. I think that there's no doubt that getting out of this sort of like circus atmosphere with two different debates and a ton of extra people and delaying really important lineups is, going to be an advantage for sort of like getting the for getting things across and for having a more fleshed out debate. I think that Bernie is going to do really well tonight. I think that his first debate was mediocre. His second debate was really strong. And even though these forums don't really kind of favor Bernie, I mean, one is obviously because everybody up on stage is basically alternating. I mean, some of the kind of marginal right-wing candidates where there'll be less of, but there'll still be some like Amy Klobuchar, are just attacking him for trying to want to do things. What was that question about Omar? Tell me again. This is live. Hi. So I think that there's the right wing who are going to try to attack him, although they've been pretty marginalized. The rest are people who are imitating and building off of the Sanders playbook. So that's the sort of dialectic going in, and then obviously the moderators and the anchors and the press are very anti and very biased against Sanders. So he's going to have to get it from all angles, and what he needs to do is really just be extremely clear about why his policies make sense. And not only that, I think he should use some humor in terms of how to basically, sure, I've been saying the same stuff, but these problems have not been solved. I've been talking about people not having health care for decades. I've been right about it, and we haven't done anything about it. You want to talk about some more novel stuff? Let's achieve these crises that I've articulated and I've talked about and I've put on the board before anybody else. I think besides that, I think that that's a great question. Why is Sam such a beta? I think a lot of it has to do with lack of rest. But there's also a general sort of like, God damn it, where am I? Where's the third love broad? God damn it. I think the other thing that's going to happen will basically be, hopefully Warren will go after Biden. Hopefully she'll attack Biden hard on his advocacy for the bankruptcy bill his relentless record as the senator from the MBNA in Delaware. I think that's really important. If you want to hit me with questions, I will. Let's 5 or above on the super chat. Left is best. Thank you for the support. And the big reason, is basically just that Sam's a beta. The beard is going to be around this length or shorter. It's going to be a little bit more of a clean look for the next little while, I've decided. I think that basically Kennedy, you do give me some free labor, but you exercise that labor in an extremely aggressive way that sometimes people are beefing with. Thank you so much. But I think that I don't apologize. I just want respect. I hear that. I think that Warren going after Biden on credit cards is significant. And you know what? If Biden is up for it, and Biden hasn't been up for much, he might make a strong go at Warren. And I think in general, it will be interesting to see if anybody else goes at Warren, because Warren and her record really haven't been challenged or interrogated yet. She's had an incredibly, easy ride. Okay, Sam arguing with right-wing Mandela about what? Alan, tell me that one more time. Bernie is the candidate. Really, anything besides that is total nonsense. Let's see. It's like, Alan, you got to tell me your question again. That looks really promising. The reality is that if you're on the left, there's one candidate. If you care about foreign policy, if you care about cutting the military budget, if you care about full and complete universal programs that actually cover everybody with health care, that really deal with complete debt relief, no nonsense, there's one candidate. I don't see any reason to compromise when compromise is unnecessary. This is an election where we have a great presidential candidate. So I obviously support Bernie Sanders. It's pretty obvious if you're on the left. Alan, okay, right-wing Mandela and Sam Cedar debating House zoning rights. Just like, I don't want the government telling me what I do with my backyard. When the government tells you what to do with the backyard, this is the first step to destroying freedom in every way, shape, and form. This is the worst possible scenario. It's not, so do you understand that roads exist? And if you don't think that roads exist, then you don't understand what the federal government exists for. So if you don't think that the roads exist, then you should acknowledge that the federal government. Do you like to drink water? Stop cutting me off. You're totally spinning me. I'm sorry I'm not catching all of these questions because I was in that. Bernie voters, how to persuade Warren voters. Well, I think that the way you persuade, it really depends. If somebody identifies actually on the left as a Warren voter, it's a no-brainer. It's time to support the most left candidate. If you're going to even pretend to care about foreign policy, you have to support the foreign policy that will completely get us out of the Middle East, that is actually serious about diplomacy. What do you think will surprise us most during the debate? I think Joe Biden might be a lot stronger than we're anticipating. I think that Warren could be Bernie's VP. I frankly think she would be better as head of the Fed or head of Treasury, but I could see it. Let's see. How does Bernie outperform Biden versus Warren narrative? Well, he's already outperforming it. If they keep doing these ridiculous headlines, who knows, right? But I do think that to a large degree, the bias against Bernie, and really by extension, the bias against the working class, and the bias against being serious about power and redistribution and actually real transformation is already baked into the cake. So that's just sort of like, wait, Warren, a friend of mine says he supports Warren over Bernie quite simply because he's not a socialist, period. I'm kind of unsure how to respond. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, your friend sounds like they're pretty ahistorical. I think that you can talk about, obviously different socialist projects across the globe and democratic socialist projects that have basically been responsible for delivering every good thing. Amanda, thank you so much. So, that's that's the bottom line. But if somebody really has a trigger about that word, they might be hard to persuade. But frankly, I mean, there's a lot of other, in terms of problematic, words, like Donald Trump will run against Warren as an establishment Harvard lawyer. He'll run against Joe Biden as, free trade, sleepy Joe Biden. So I just don't, I think that if anybody could come up with anything, I like Nina Turner. I'm totally down. People check out Adam Broad. I've been learning about him amongst a lot of really important progressive candidates. Michaela Wilkes is joining us on the last Tuesday of this month. She's challenging Steny Hoyer. I'm really excited about that. I did watch some of J. Cole's debate, and of course, what I saw, he did a very strong job. And I think things like that MS-13 thing, Ghetto News is doing really interesting stuff. I would also check out Dominique Remy, the Into Deep podcast. People let me know there's a huge amount of talent in the TMBS community. I want to really support Dominique's maternity documentary film as well. Bad Praxis as well. You got to send me this link. So, look, I think that the Yang cells are totally unbearable. Yang will make a play. Yang will say some stuff. Yang's usually in the position where he's the one who has the correct diagnosis on some things. He'll talk accurately about the Democrats needing to speak about job loss. Hello, Lord Rosemary. About things like that. But I think that the bottom line is he doesn't have a serious policy to deal with it. He just has this UBI gimmick. And he's really saying that, frankly, you're not even going to do anything fundamental. You're not going to do anything fundamental to reclaim power, to do anything on economic redistribution, to do anything on democracy. And in some ways, I mean, it's kind of like it is the millennial version of Ross Perot, as the Jacobin pointed out, but it's also a real symptom of people, I think, kind of just getting exhausted in terms of politics and doubting that they can achieve anything. Warren Klobuchar. Okay. I think we have found the obvious troll here. So, folks, does anybody want to hit me up with anything else? Any more super chat questions, more impressions, anything like that? Crazy musician, what was it? What was the question? Tell me. I want to get to it. I'm stunned that Klobuchar, Vishal Kane, you were acknowledged. And your name was said too. I am stunned that Klobuchar made it into the debate. But at any rate, does anybody else have anything else that they want to do? Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang is just, it's so bizarre. He literally says, essentially that a wealth tax is politically untenable because of the power of oligarchs in the society, which is really possible and horrifying. If that's impossible, then we're done. But then he says that he can make a UBI tax progressive by making sure that it disproportionately affects luxury items, which leads me to say, why would the wealthy and oligarchs allow for a progressive UBI, but not for a progressive value-added tax, but not a wealth tax? They're going to fight it either way. Like, if we're going to fight Let's actually fight on real things like a Green New Deal, like Medicare for all, like a federal jobs guarantee. And then you could add a UBI in addition to all of that. At any rate, and obviously, first and foremost, go and subscribe, become a patron, patreon.com/TMBS. We are powering towards our first 3,000 patrons. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button here on YouTube as well. Spread the good word. There'll be another one of these on Monday, but obviously there's a ton of clips. What do I think of the professor? West is my favorite. I just think what Cornel West is putting together is and I love Chomsky, but Cornel West, the depth and vision and integrative thinking is unparalleled right now. Michael, are you going to go to Politicon? I am not going to go to Politicon No East. Can we hear a UK parliamentary rule? It's like, at not 1400 hours, if Boris Johnson is masturbating behind a sycamore tree, then Jeremy Corbyn will be allowed to form a new covenant. However, if Boris Johnson is masturbating into a ficus bush after losing a parliamentary confidence motion, then Lib Dems will be able to reach out to the Welsh Spandex Party in order to form a coalition. If that does not work, then Jeremy Corbyn has a right to go out on 2 dates with Boris Johnson's sister. What's great, I mean, Linda Sarsour is an important activist. Obviously, Bernie's talking to a number of constituencies, including the Muslim constituency, and good. I don't have much thought on it. I don't super closely follow these things. There's some things I've disagreed with Linda Sarsour on. There's some things obviously I really agree with her strongly on, and she's a good activist, and she's an important voice, and it's good to have her support. I believe Bernie. I think Bernie will actually do well without the Beto O'Rourkeism. I mean, it's funny. It's very cool that they're speaking Spanish and they're acknowledging the multilingual country, but sometimes it just gets. David Sirota is good. Order. All right, folks. Patreon.com/TMBS. Patreon.com/TMBS. Subscribe. And yeah, I mean, the sorcerer thing is, I mean, I don't know. People like to, this is part of it that I just, this is why I said read The Vampire Castle and think strategically. People across the board, from the woke scolds to the, from the, oh my God, Farrakhan or whatever. I mean, everybody's looking for these kind of little petty scandals that don't matter. And distract from what's really important, like electing Bernie Sanders president, like ending mass surveillance programs. Folks, you guys are awesome. Click subscribe now if you haven't yet. Get to patreon.com/TMBS. Become a patron. And I will see you soon. Much love.